Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I have some really good news. I have been working on several different segments for my channel. Every Friday, I am doing the news with Vern on his channel, Fixing My Faith. Please go subscribe to his channel and watch us tell the news live every Friday. So, this is going to be a recap of a story that I have covered with Vern. And this is some good news coming out of Pennsylvania. Let's get right to the story. So, if you remember, about a year ago, the Attorney General in Pennsylvania came out with a bombshell press conference that at least 5 of Jehovah's Witnesses have been arrested initially, because now it's almost up to 16. But initially, it was up to 5 Jehovah's Witnesses that have been arrested for crimes committed in the 1990s. Okay, I was born in 1996. So that is as old as I am alive, that these brothers in the Christian congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses have been hiding in plain sight. For over 20 years, these brothers have used their position and trust in the Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses to target and hurt and abuse Jehovah's Witness children at the time. It is a travesty that this has happened. But if it wasn't for the bravery and courage of these victims coming up and speaking about this, and the good work of XJWs like all of us who are online and exposing the CSA, exposing how they cover up and they hide pedophiles in the congregations, none of this would be possible. Thankfully, these people have been brave enough to come forward with their abuse. And these Jehovah's Witnesses are finally arrested and locked up. So, this video is going to talk about and share the story of at least one of the men that have finally been sentenced, which was literally this month. So, this is recent. I'm going to include the link in the description, and I am going to share and let the Attorney General herself give the details.
Luis Ala Velezda, 55, of Reading. He abused a young family member of his for several years, beginning when she was 12 years old and he was 34. The grand jury heard testimony from the victim, who stated that for years he would sneak into her bedroom while she was sleeping and sexually assault her. Years later, when the victim was an adult, he raped her again in his home. He has been charged with rape, involuntary deviant sexual intercourse, aggravated indecent assault, endangering the welfare of children, and corruption of minors. I have to say that I am thankful to the courageous survivors involved in these cases who were willing to share the horrific abuse that they went through. I'm inspired by their strength. Many of these incidents and offenses happened a long time ago, even decades ago. But as a longtime child abuse prosecutor, I can tell you that the trauma endures for these victims. And for these survivors to have the courage and the willingness to pursue justice against their abusers is truly brave and remarkable. Recounting these events surely was not easy, and the process will not be easy. The Office of Attorney General and the victim support will be there. I also want to thank the grand jurors. We appreciate the service of the independent citizens who make up the grand jury. They participate in the process, and in this case, they reviewed all the evidence, they heard painful testimony, and they reached their own determination.
Wonderful news coming straight from the Attorney General in Pennsylvania. And I'm going to rewind a little bit to the beginning so that you can hear what she says, because I want everybody to realize, even the spies in Watchtower, okay? Because I know you people exist. I know that you watch our videos, and I know that you were all over apostate materials. This is what's really going on inside the Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses. So I want everybody to realize that it's not just us talking about this and exposing CSA. These are not apostate lies. This is the truth. This is happening in the news. I am loving the moment that the United States of America is finally catching on to this, and we are able to report on this. So that's why I want to show everybody that it's not just us. This is literally the AG of Pennsylvania speaking about this.
And their cases are at different points in the criminal justice system, but for one individual who took his own life when our agents were attempting to apprehend him. As I have said before,
Oh, yeah. Side note, if you don't remember, one of the people who were supposed to be along with this group of Jehovah's Witnesses that are supposed to be prosecuted, he committed suicide. He ended his own life because he couldn't deal with the fact that he would have to face consequences for the actions, for his actions, for his crimes back in the 90s.
details of these cases that I will be talking about are incredibly disturbing. The 5 defendants that we have charged today were all adults in positions of trust with these victims. And they violated that trust and they abused these children. Children are some of our most vulnerable members of society, and they should be nurtured and protected. But instead of protecting these children, the defendants violated and abused them. I can assure you that my office remains steadfast in the commitment to investigate, prosecute, and hold accountable individuals that prey on children. And while these 5 cases have their own set of facts and circumstances and different victims, there are common factors. All 5 men had the trust of the victims and their families. And all 5 men were members of the Jehovah Witness congregation, and many of them gained access to their victims through this organization.
That right there, guys. It is not coming from us apostates or deranged, mentally ill XJWs. The Attorney General herself nails it when she says that all 5 of them, there's one thing in common. They all used their position and had the trust of their victims and their families because they were all part of the Jehovah's Witness congregation. Please believe us when we tell you, even as ex-members who no longer want to be a part of this religion because of this, not because we want to live sinful lives or be in the world and do worldly things. No. One of the main reasons why I could never set foot in another Kingdom Hall ever again was because of the CSA stuff. They are sweeping it under the rug. And this was in the 90s, okay, 20 plus years ago. And it is finally coming to the light. They are finally getting the justice that they deserve. Okay, so as much as Watchtower wants to tell us or tell you or tell Jehovah's Witnesses that we're liars, that we're apostates, that we're mentally ill, oh, they don't know what they're talking about. Please just watch the news. Just do your own research. Watch the news. Listen to these people when they tell you that these things have been happening, and it's been happening for a long time. They are just getting caught now. Okay, so that was just to give you a refresher of what this story is going to be about. Because, like I showed you before, the very first charges that she described for that man in Reading, I am going to pull up this news article. A Reading man will serve up to 46 years in prison amid the Pennsylvania Attorney General's investigation into alleged sexual abuse of Jehovah's Witness congregation members. Luis Manuel Ayala Velasquez, 56, was arrested last year after a grand jury investigation where sexual charges were recommended against more than a dozen members of the Jehovah's Witness faith. Ayala Velasquez was sentenced to 14 to 46 years in prison, and should he be released, must register as a sex offender for life for repeated sexual assaults of a girl that started more than 20 years ago. He pled guilty to 5 felonies, including rape of an unconscious person. The Attorney General's office last year said the investigation included testimony from the victim, stating that Ayala Velasquez would sneak into the victim's bedroom while she was sleeping and sexually assault her. Years later, when his victim was an adult, he allegedly raped her in his home. The courageous victims who came forward and told the grand jurors their horrific stories of abuse led to charges against predatory defendants, Attorney General Henry said on Wednesday. The abuse in this case began decades ago, but the brave victim and the diligent efforts of OAG agents and attorneys ensured that justice was served, and at long last, the defendant was held accountable. The AG's investigation began back in February 2023, with 5 men tied to Jehovah's Witnesses being charged. 5 more men were charged as part of the investigation in July 2023. And more than a dozen suspects have been identified. So there you have it, folks. The very first man that we know in this investigation has finally been sentenced to 14 to 46 years. And he will have to remain forever on that registry list. Very good news coming out of Pennsylvania. And you know what? Just like I said, if you catched Vern's live, every Friday we do a news segment. And so I bring these stories and I discuss it live, but I am doing it in video form so it can be here forever, so that you can like and you can share this video to as many people as you can, so you can let everybody know that Jehovah's Witnesses are no different from anybody else. They will be held accountable just like everybody else. Okay? So just like I said in Vern's stream, I am always curious to see what these people actually look like. I want to see the face. I want to see what they look like, so that when we are talking about these stories, we can put a face. So here you have it. This is the man that we are talking about, Ayala Velasquez. He was a Jehovah's Witness in the 1990s and used his position in the congregation to gain the trust of his victim and their families. Okay? Take a good look at who these people look like. They are roaming around in local kingdom halls, and you will never know that this perpetrator can be lurking in any kingdom hall. They look like regular people. But the congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses would never let you know that there is a person who was accused of CSA issues in the past. They will never announce it. And JW.org would never put this guy's face on their website saying that this Jehovah's Witness was arrested recently and has finally been sentenced. So that is my story for today. I want to thank everybody for watching, and I will catch you next time.